This call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance or training purposes.
This call may be recorded.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm Tatiana. I'm your host today. And as you know, while we're all here, we're going to be listening to some calls today and talking about them. So I'm so excited for it. If you're joining us, let us know. Hop in the chats here. Tell us where you're coming from. And I'd love to hear from you. All the comments, you guys, come on. You don't want to make me talk to the screen for 30 minutes. Don't do it. Just comment, participate. I'd love to hear from you. And good morning. All right, already one person. Thank you. You're the best. Hop in and we're going to listen to some calls, coach them up, and get going. All right, I am going to throw some up here. Hi. Oh, I got Alicia. What up, Alicia? I'm happy to be here. Okay, we're going to throw some calls up here and we're going to get listening. And we've got Javier from Jersey. Hey, Javier. As I present this, be patient, you guys. I love these screens, but also I hate them at the same time. Okay. Let's pull one up here. Hi, Friday. Okay. Hi, Melissa. And then I see Alicia. Oh, Suburn. Hey, bestie. Okay, let's listen. Oh, no. Guys, downloading is my worst enemy. I'm telling you right now. Okay, let me pull this off really quick while I download this. It's not want to come up. While I'm doing this, I'm going to do a call back to a conversation I had with Zach not too long ago. We were talking about, if anyone has been on here with us for a while, you may remember when Zach was, Alicia, everyone's weekend plans. You're the best. Yeah, tell us what your weekend plans are. I want to talk about when Zach, though, he was talking about a time where he was at a restaurant, right? And he was struggling with these boxes and the people were literally just standing and watching. And he extended the question, which was, how can you go above and beyond for your customer? What's one small way? Now, I had an experience at a store and I was definitely just a passerby and I was overlooking and I felt it was awful, you guys. It was so cringy. But as I'm doing this, this conversation comes back up to my mind, the one we had with Zach, because this customer walks up and all of the registers are empty. There's no one there checking out. It's just the self-checkout open. And she walks right up and she's like, is anyone going to open? Like, is this going to open anytime soon? And, you know, the guy who's already done with his day, it's like 10 in the morning. So I don't know why he was so tired, but he's like, yeah, well, she's on break for like 5 minutes. And the lady's like, well, it's my birthday. I would love to have somebody check these out for me. I don't want to do this on my birthday. And he could not have looked at her with more darkness in his eyes. And he just stared at her like, what do you want me to do? And she goes, well, can you do it? Right after he doesn't respond, she's like, can you do it? And you guys, I kid you not, at least 4 more times in this conversation, she brought up that it was her birthday. She's like, well, it's my birthday. Don't get me wrong. She was not super sweet and pleasant. So I understand it would take some humility to react the way that I'd hoped he would. But even just one happy birthday would have done it. Just one happy birthday. I was like, come on, man, you can do it. I was over there rooting for him. I gave him a face like, oh. One of those knowing glances. I was rooting for him so well. And no, it didn't happen. So there you go. One example that really hit me hard this week was just say happy birthday. Listen to the customer. Understand what their needs are. It was clear to me that she just wanted to be acknowledged. A little bit of validation. We've got those opportunities all day when we do what we do, right? We get these people coming to us with all of their problems and their emotions and all of these things. And we have so many opportunities to just validate a little bit. And we want to make sure we take all of those opportunities when they become available. All right, I've got one downloaded. Let's see if this one works now. Appreciate your guys' patience. I'm hoping that I'll be able to play it. Let me pull it up on this other screen. I love a good technical difficulty. I appreciate you guys hanging in there for me.
Thank you for choosing. This is Michelle. How may I help you?
All right. I'm hoping this one will now share. Let's try it one more time. What is going on? Okay. There we go.
Yes.
Thank you for choosing. This is Michelle. How may I help you?
All right. It's playing for me. So if anyone's having a hard time and it's not showing up for you, let me know. But my hope is that it's playing for everyone now, and let's get going.
Thank you for choosing. This is Michelle. How may I help you?
Yes, I have a water valve for my washer dryer that does not shut off, so I need it replaced.
Well, that's not good. We'd be happy to help with that, sir. And who am I speaking with?
Lee Mike,
All right, Lee. You said it's the water valve that leads to your washer and dryer. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay. All righty. And it won't shut off. So is it currently leaking right now?
well, what I have it is bypassed, really,
Okay. Okay.
and it's both the hot water and cold water.
Hot and cold side. Okay. Well, we can definitely get that resolved for you. I do have a record pulling up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And when were you looking to get somebody out, Lee?
All right. I'm going to pause it right here. We're about a minute into the call. Which, as you know, if you are currently in coaching, this is something we talk about a lot. That strong first impression, maintaining that, or excuse me, introducing positivity, preparedness, listening, caring, and reassurance, right? We want that to take about 30 seconds to a minute. It's not going to take up the whole call. You may get some talkers, some people that go a little bit longer, but that's about how long it takes to create a really strong first impression with your customer, right? And I emphasize that because, one, I want us to give us a goal for the first 30 seconds to a minute of our call. But two, I also emphasize it because it is so good to know that this pattern and these principles that we talk about are designed to not only be effective, but efficient as well. We want to get to the important stuff as quickly as possible and make room for a connection as quickly as possible. So I really am liking this so far, and I'd love to hear anyone else's thoughts on what principles and what strong points you're hearing. All right, I'm liking it. I'll give you guys a second to add it to the chat, but what are some strengths and what opportunities do we hear? I'm giving us a minute. So if anyone wants to chime in the chat, I'd love to hear it. So to know what I'm looking for the first 5 principles. The first one is positivity. So does she sound likable? Like she wants to be on this call. All right. I have heard many, many times like, oh, I just don't sound like that. I don't sound like this. And I'm like, I promise you don't have to sound like Mickey Mouse to sound like you're positive. She does a really good job here at just sounding like she's happy to be there. Right. So I'm looking for positivity. Preparedness. Do we sound like we know what we're talking about? Are we inspiring confidence in the way that we speak? I would say yes for this customer. It sounded like she knew what was going on. She was leading the conversation. She was confident. All right, we've got Kayla, who said that she asked really good questions for her listen principle. Absolutely. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Sabrine. I completely agree. So in this call, she's asking clarifying questions that have to do with what the customer has just said. Right? It's a direct reflection of what the customer has said so far. That's what makes it a good question. Right? If you're trying to decide if your questions are good questions, I want you to ask yourself if they're allowing you to understand the customer's problem better. Even if it's just rephrasing, like this is what I heard. I just want to make sure that's okay. Right? Ask good questions. If it has nothing to do with what they just said, chances are we could have done better. And let's think of it. Here's a good example of a question that may be disguised as a good question. All right. And this is one I hear a lot, which is, hey, I've got a problem. Okay, what's your address? All right. We know that we have to have that information. We know that. So I know it's a good question. And in my mind, I know why it's a good question. It's because if I want to get them pulled up, if I want to see all the information that has gone into this customer's visits in the past, I've got to get their information and look them up, right? That's the best way. Although by doing that, I've now just invited this idea of a transaction instead of a connection, because that's what's communicated to my customer. Right. So that it would be disguised as a good question, but in reality, it had nothing to do with the customer had just said, which is going to make us feel less connected to the person who's asking the questions. So ask a good question. Does it have to do with what they're talking about? All right, let's keep listening.
Well, you tell me what's the soonest available.
Definitely. So right now I can offer tomorrow afternoon between 12 and 4. Would that be okay with you?
It's the soonest?
As of now, but I can also mark it as urgent. That way, if we happen to get any wiggle room this afternoon or tomorrow morning, we can definitely bump you up.
Yeah, do that.
Okay. I will make sure that we do that, and we will give you a 45-minute notice. I have you at 843-333-6943. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Well, I've got that confirmed for you, marked as urgent. Does look like we've been out to your home and done some work before, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, we appreciate your repeat business. Like always, we'll come out and do an assessment, give you a quote as long as you feel comfortable. Most work can be done right then and there. Did you have any other concerns right now, sir?
No, I don't. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for choosing.
All right, I've got a comment from Javier. It's tough skipping the where are you located first because you always want to know if the customer is in an area that you service. I can definitely see that. So if I'm understanding this, Javier, and please correct me in the chats if this is wrong, but you're saying that if ideally you would like to start with where are you located and then ask for their availability. Right? That's what I'm understanding. So I'm going to pick it up from there because and then just to elaborate, it sounds like because I want to know if they're even in our service area. Is this even something that we can help them with? So I'm going to add to that on that thought and say, because the structure that we follow here, what I'm usually looking for, success on the ask principle and structure, because again, in my mind, I'm thinking not just effectiveness, but efficiency, right? I want to find the way to do this in the most efficient way possible while still not cutting any corners, being able to get in everything that I want. All right, I've got Bridget who suggested not getting the full address, but just a zip code. Here's my thoughts. So when you think about call flow, because everything that comes before that moment is going to be your first 5 principles, right? So positivity, preparedness, listen, care, reassurance. All of that is very much in a relationship building mode, right? And so the next step, the only thing standing between you and getting their address is asking, when are you available? That's the only thing. And I'm not saying, when are you available? Let's make some promises. I'm not saying, when are you available? Because yes or no, I cannot or cannot do that. I'm saying, when are you available? Only because I'm trying to determine your flexibility, your availability, while also determining whether or not you're ready to make this commitment to me or not. All right. So let me explain that a little bit further, because this was a big question for me when I started as a coach. I was like, why does it actually matter if we get their address first or ask for their availability first? And I had lots of answers given. There was only one that in the way my brain works, there was only one that really helped me see why it would be important to start with, when would you like us to come out? All right. And the reason is that when you say to someone, when would you like us to come out? It's kind of a challenge. You're sort of challenging them, right? Maybe we realize this or not, but when I ask you, if you were my customer and I'm the CSR and I say, when do you want us out? At that point, you're going to know something really important. You're about to know if they're ready to make a commitment or not, right? And what that sounds like is if I say, when do you want us out? And you tell me, I want someone out today. I'm like, okay, great. this customer is ready to go. Let me verify their information and we're going to get on to booking, right? If they're not ready to book, then you get that feedback that's like, hey, when would you like us out? Well, hold on. I just want to know how much this is going to cost, right? There are other benefits to asking this question for sure. But this was the one that to me was like, okay, time frame matters. It matters that I ask this question early on, because as soon as I say, when would you like us to come out? You're telling me in advance what your expectation is for the next little bit of this conversation, right? And it also helps us avoid that awkward, what's your address? Well, wait, I just wanted to know the pricing first. Or when they push back and they're unwilling to give you their contact information. It avoids that also because they're telling you what they're ready for. And we're getting that expectation early on. All right, Kayla says the customer probably did not feel important in scheduling because the urgency came after first available. And Sabrina's her secretary today. All right, thank you, Sabrina. I appreciate that. All right, so what I'm reading here is Kayla said the customer probably did not feel important in scheduling because urgency came after the first available. So you're saying the customer gave a time, and before we were able, you know what, instead of talking about it again, let's listen to it one more time. Just the scheduling portion, because we kind of we went farther than that. Let me get to that part.
And when were you looking to get somebody out, Lee?
Well, you tell me what's the soonest available.
Definitely. So right now I can offer tomorrow afternoon between 12 and 4. Would that be okay with you?
It's the soonest.
As of now, but I can also mark it as urgent. That way, if we happen to get any wiggle room this afternoon or tomorrow morning, we can definitely bump you up.
Okay. The customer did something kind of tricky, right? What do you do in that situation? If anyone has thoughts on what they do, I'd love to hear it. But the customer did something that was hard because we asked a question, when do you want us out? And he returned it with his own question. Well, when's your soonest available? So we can make the assumption that he's just looking for the soonest available. Right? I hear that in there. We could ask again. I could say, I can take a look. It sounds like you're just looking for the soonest time. Does that mean you're available anytime this week? I can make a clarification based on what he had just said. Right, and that could be helpful because ideally what we would like to do is we'd love to offer the urgency list before we have missed that customer's time expectation. And that's another benefit to asking when would you like us to come out, is understanding their availability and what they expect of you. It's being proactive instead of reactive. Right? When I ask somebody, when do you want us out? It's not because I'm not sure. I already know that I don't have anything until next Friday before I even ask them that, but I'm trying to determine if this is good news or bad news, basically. Right? Alicia says, agreed, clarify and stay curious. Yeah, that's what I would do as well. So in that case, my customer would say, if we're going to replay this call again, if we were to redo it, or just offer urgency list first, was another comment. Yeah, I think I agree. It could go either way. So to Kayla's point, urgency list, we want that to be one of the first things we talk about as soon as we get an inkling that we're not going to meet this customer's time expectation. Right? That's the first place that we go. So for an example, I would say, all right, when would you like us to come out? They say today, right away. Or in this case, well, when's your soonest available? I may say, yeah, I'll take a look at that. It sounds like you're pretty open all week. Is that right? He may say, yes, I am. I'm going to clarify. All right, awesome. But you're looking for the soonest available. Yes. Okay, great. Let me verify your location, and then we can definitely take a look at the schedule. You'll notice no promises were made. I didn't promise even one thing. All I did was just get an idea of what he expects from me. Next step, let's verify their information because that is vital. Knowing if they're in our service area is super important. So I get all of that. And as soon as I've done that, I'm able to jump right into a solution, not the problem. Meaning I want to jump right into urgency list because I know that I'm not going to meet their expectation. I want to jump right into urgency list instead of jumping right into, well, we can't, or this is what we aren't able to do, right? I don't want to rely so heavy on that. I want to talk more about what we can do. So what Kayla was saying, we can offer the urgency list. This is what that means. Go ahead and give them the time frame at that point. In order for me to do this, I'll schedule you for as soon as available, which right now is tomorrow or next Friday. Can I do that so we can get someone out to you as soon as possible? I'll always end with a question to encourage them to say yes. Thanks, guys, for your comments. I appreciate that. Let me know if there's any more clarification we want. Let's talk about the last little bit of this call, where she goes into value and gratitude. Now, I would love to hear the points. On paper, I think this call was pretty good for that last little bit. From a human perspective, I was not wowed by this last 30 seconds of this call. The last, how much is long left? 40 seconds. Okay. I felt it was a little bit transactional. It was a little scripted sounding, and it didn't seem to tie into anything that the customer had said. So if I were to elevate this further, because I think she's meeting that bare minimum of building value before giving price, things like that. I would love to hear even more than that. Make it personal and bring all your human connection to it. All right, Javier. So what do you do after you go through the call flow and you find out they aren't in the service area? All right, so at this point, let's talk time frame. You're going to be about a minute and a half into the call by this time, maybe 2 minutes. You're 2 minutes into this call. If you have someone to refer them to, I think that's great. All right, there's a lot of things to ask to look out here, because I've heard the question before that you're asking, Javier, which is, I need to know where they're at as soon as possible. And we can put emphasis on that if we want, where they're located, right? But the same could be said for any other part of this call that this discussion we've had so far. For instance, how do I help them if I don't know that this is a job that we do, a service that we provide, right? So that prioritizes my listen principle right away and understanding the problem. And then it's just a matter of which one comes first, because they're back to back. I understand the problem first, get an idea of when they want, and then I'm out there, because that idea of what time frame they have, that, when would you like us to come out, takes about 10 seconds to ask, maybe less, for us to ask and for them to answer. So the only difference would be that one question. And I don't feel it's enough to restructure the whole thing, because then we risk losing that connection early on. I hope that that's making sense. I'd love to talk more about this. Man, that's the one thing here. I'd love to dive deeper into it, but that's how I look at it. I have two separate time-consuming questions, which is, one is what's going on. The other is, where are you located in logistics, right? And I'm going to prioritize what's going on over logistics. And the only thing separating them is that question, when would you like us to come out? So it's not as much time as we may feel that it is at that point. All right, let's listen to another call. We've got just under 10 more minutes left. So let's do one more call. Okay. Let's see if I can get this one to work as easily as the last one, which was not easy. Thank you. By the way, I had a comment from Melissa. She said that what she's doing this weekend was she was going to take some relaxing time and buy some fall decorations. That's what I want to be doing this weekend. Fall decorations. Oh, Alicia's comment. She says, if there are more than 10% of your calls that are not in your service area, then maybe it could be justified. But I still feel that there's always something you can do if they aren't in your service area. Oh, I appreciate you saying that. So focusing on, even if we can't, ultimately, by the time we get to that point and in the call, assuming it's about a minute and a half in, 2 minutes, at that point, we still want to find what we can do. So for the customers that are in our service area, it's urgency list or meeting their expectation. For the customers that aren't, we're finding a different tool that we could use. For instance, offering, if there are any services, or perhaps redirect or referring them to somebody in their area, or to, if it's a job that we don't do, right, referring them to somebody that does do that job, something like that. I like it. Okay. All right, you guys, here's what I'm doing, just so you know. I'm going into my file and I'm going to see if it's here so that I can play this call that I've got. All right. Did that. Let's do it. Sharing screen. All right, let's see if this is, there we go. All right, here we go.
Thank you for calling. This is Claire. How can I make you smile today?
Yeah, I just had a question, a couple of general questions. I mean, that's not be able to answer specifically, but I was just wondering, I need to get a water softener put in my home, and I do not have plumbing yet. And so I was just wondering, like, kind of, you know, a range of what y'all's pricing would be for that.
So I unfortunately do not have access to our price book, so I would be unable to give you a ballpark. However, if you are the homeowner and currently reside at the location, there is no dispatch fee for us to come out and take a look in order to provide you with the most accurate quote for installation.
Ooh, all right, let's talk about this. Okay, so we're about 50 seconds into this call. And the response is really what I wanted to go into. Okay, so the customer says, she explains what she's needing, and our CSR, she gives two pieces of advice, or two responses ultimately. And we're going to divide these into two. She says, I'm sorry, unfortunately. All right, Maddie, tell me why you're violently upset at this. I'd love to know. Okay, so we have two pieces here. She says, unfortunately, I don't have the pricing with me. That's the first thing that she says. And then she immediately leads it up with, but if you're the homeowner, I can dispatch someone out there for free. I can get someone out there for free to give you a quote on that. Okay, so we have just downplayed the positive here. All right, we've just made, because we're foreshadowing it with something negative. And so the first thing the customer hears is no. That's the very first thing out of our mouth is no, I can't do that. A much more positive is after, where she says, well, if you're the homeowner, it's a free dispatch, right? Now I want to ask you, for anyone that wants to throw it up there, but what can she do? Thank you, Maddie. You're killing it, Maddie. You know what's up. What can she do? That's what I want us to focus on. So that means we're focusing on what we can do, meaning I can get someone out there at no cost, right? That's something I can do. But then the other side of this is anytime you find yourself saying things like, well, if you were the homeowner, why not just ask if you're the homeowner? That takes out all the guessing in the questions. Ask more about the problem. Let's make sure I even understood what kind of visit this is. Now, for this company, this could be the only type of diagnostic that they offer. Other companies, some people have certain things that are free estimates, other things that have a diagnostic cost. Okay, and we've got to decipher what kind of visit this is so that we can give the accurate information. Also, so the customer knows that we take their personal situation seriously. So asking things like, are you the homeowner, will allow us to then go in and say, this is how the pricing is applied to you, and not making the customer do the hard work and deciphering whether or not the pricing affects them or not. Right? We should be the ones asking the questions so we can give the right answer the first time. So what I would have advised I would love to hear her go back and ask more questions and wait on this pricing conversation. Let's keep listening.
And if you don't have plumbing, we can also provide you with a quote for that as well.
Okay, and does that, I guess y'all are a plumbing company, so y'all do the plumbing and the water stuff?
Yes, we would provide you with the loop, and we could provide you with the softener as well.
I'm going to add in here, her tone is so sweet. I really love her tone, the CSR. She sounds really good.
Okay. Okay. So, you know, I had someone come out today, and I'm trying to just see, you know, if y'all have any type of estimates on where y'all like start at, or do you know any of that at all?
No, I just wouldn't know.
Okay. I wish it doesn't say anything. I mean, I know you'll have to look at it and stuff, but I'm trying to make sure, you know, I don't know. Okay. It's just hard because I have to keep getting people to come out, and I'm trying to find the best, whoever's going to offer me the best service and the best pricing, and, you know, without y'all coming out. But it's kind of
right. It's a little tough. It's a little tough with plumbing because you never know, you know, what exactly you're going to get into, which is why, you know, most companies like to send their technician out just to give you the most accurate quote.
Am I the only one that feels like she's saying this as if it's a bad thing? I feel like that. I feel like she's just talking about it like, oh, sorry, like we have to come out there and give you an accurate price because we have to know exactly what's going on because I really don't want to give you the wrong price. That is a great thing. I would be way more annoyed at somebody calling and answering and making up prices and then coming out and having it be completely wrong. feel like she's saying it like it's a bad thing. And I want her to believe that it's a good thing the way that it is. If she felt like it was good news that we only get someone out there, we only give accurate prices, if she could see the value for what that really was, this conversation would sound completely different. All right, Alicia's comment. I would have loved to hear her build value in who she is. Like, my job is to make sure that we get the best professionals out there. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's amazing news. It is great news for your customers. And there are some things that we do that cause people to lack confidence in us, right? Any kind of phrase like, I don't know, is at the top of that list. Phrases like, I don't know. And in this call, we let the customer kind of ramble on. You can tell that the customer is uncomfortable. The customer isn't getting what they needed. They're not feeling satisfied by the responses that they're getting. And because we lead with a phrase like I don't know. And she just lets it rest there. All right. For anyone that's worked with me, you know I do this. I put this on a scale of bad, better, and best. Bad being, I don't know. We know that wasn't the right thing that wasn't the right response. Your customer does not want to hear just that, oh yeah, I'm not sure. Better response, something that is definitely better, is I don't know, but I can ask more questions. I can figure this out. Let me find something that'll help us. The best solution, the best response, take the I don't know out completely and just say, absolutely, I can get this information for you. Focus on the yes. Last comment, and then we'll wrap up. Man, that flew by. Sabrine says, in order to give you the best experience, I would love to send out the best comfort advisor. Oh, Maddie, coming in strong. I love it. Thank you. It's easy to downplay how freaking awesome we are. It is. We're amazing, you guys. But I hope all CSRs realize that what they do is amazing and so valuable. I agree. I could not agree more. And that is a great note to end it on. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We'll be back next week where we listen to some more calls. And I appreciate the conversation. I hope you all have a good day. Bye. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your fall shopping. I want to do that too. Bye.